Welcome to The Author Show, where we feature new authors and books, from fiction to self-help and everything in between. You'll find it all at theauthorshow.com. That's theauthorshow.com. And now let the show begin.
Hello and welcome back to the show. This is your host, Don McCauley. Today we're welcoming program author Cynthia A. King, and she is the author of Paradise Point, a midlife romance. Before I bring in today's guest, a quick reminder that selected interviews are available at our website, as well as on major platforms like Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, and many more. Cynthia, how are you?
Good. How are you, Don?
Good. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
I'm a middle-aged woman myself. I'm retired. I started writing later in life, and it's something I've enjoyed doing, and the people that have read my books have enjoyed reading them. So it's just a hobby per se, but I wouldn't mind being a published best-selling novelist, I'll tell you that.
So tell us about your book.
As it says, a midlife romance, it's between two middle-aged people. The female is happily single, never been married, a woman named Aimee, and she meets a depressed, divorced man in the grocery store parking lot when her old Honda dings his Tesla.
Now, who did you write your book for specifically? Who's your target audience here?
My target audience, I feel, is the female baby boomer. There are an awful lot of us. And as we age past chicklet, we're looking for stories that want to reflect where we are in life and the situations that we face. Maybe it's a husband having an affair, or a child that comes back home and brings her dog, or some other thing that complicates life that you don't usually see when you fall in love at the beginning of those younger romances.
Could you say there's any type of central message or perhaps underlying theme that you would say runs throughout your book?
Yes, the theme is one for women to understand and can relate to. Just because they have passed 40 does not mean they've dried up and blown away. They are vibrant, healthy women looking for novels that can demonstrate that they too can find love and romance at middle age.
If you had to choose, what would you say is the single most important idea you're sharing in your book that's really going to add value to the reader's life?
I don't know if it was Yogi Berra who said, "It ain't over till it's over," but that's what the reader can hope to gain. They can get perspective on love at their phase of life. They can get perspective on love with complications, but they can also be optimistic that just because you're on the other side of 40 does not mean you're dead.
So if you were asked to compare your book with any book out there we might already be familiar with, which book would it be and why?
This is always a tough question to answer because, I can cite Middle Age by Joyce Carol Oates, but I don't know how many people have read that. And a lot of the, airport fiction, beach reads, they all skew to a younger demographic. I think is it Kristen Hanna? She writes a lot dealing with middle age, and I think Emily Henry too.
So tell us about some of the characters in the book.
Well, the lead is named Aimee Dunsmore. She's never been married, and she's never missed it. She's a successful ghost writing Gothic romance writer. And she's very successful, but nobody knows anything about her. And she likes it that way. She runs into Mitch at the grocery store with her grocery cart. And he's a divorced man who has an ex-wife that brings a lot of baggage to the point where he's just going to sit on his boat and fish all day. He's really not interested in any kind of connection. But sparks happen at the grocery store, and this is their story.
Where did you set the book and why?
The book's title, Paradise Point, refers to a place I made up out in the Hamptons because Aimee, the ghostwriter, her first job out of college is to write a marketing piece for a movie on the scale of Titanic. And if you can remember the old lady in Titanic, I think it was Gloria Swanson, although I'm not sure. But the recluse that she's writing the biography of is going to come out of retirement and star in this movie. It's supposed to be this blockbuster saga, and it's just intended to be a marketing piece for the movie. However, it becomes a runaway bestseller, And the recluse is now having to go on the road and promote it to the morning shows and Entertainment Tonight and those types of programs. And she brings Aimee with her because she's in her 90s. So Aimee gets to experience a life on a grand scale. She starts writing the book at Paradise Point, which is the recluse's home, out on the Hamptons in this big windswept beach. And her name is Dolores, but she goes by Dodo, which is kind of odd, but it's like calling Elizabeth Taylor Betty. There are people in her life that know her well. There just aren't that many of them left. But she takes Aimee on the press tour. She takes her to the Academy Awards, and then she takes her into her guest house of her pool as a writing den to be used on and off periodically during Aimee's career.
Now, is this book going to be part of a series?
No, it's not. It's meant to be a standalone work of fiction where the beginning is the meat. The story of Aimee is important in the front because it shows you why she's successful. They have a lot of fun doing it. And then when she meets Mitch, she decides rather than write about love, maybe she'll live it for once. And so they have a connection. And what happens next is his ex-wife, who has really made it her mission to ruin any chance he'll have at love again. And he just avoids it by wanting to go fishing, or his other habit is luxury cars. That's why he has the Tesla at the grocery store. He's just moving it.
So was there a character or a scene that you could say is your favorite?
The interplay between Dodo and Aimee. Dodo's been out there for so long, everybody's forgotten about her. And Aimee is young, recent college grad that allows Dodo to look back on her life, all 90 years of it, and the adventures she's had, and the things she's done, like Katharine Hepburn, a trailmaker in the industry. And the interplay between the two of those, it's very sweet, and I like that.
So did your environment or upbringing perhaps play any major role in your writing?
I guess I could say I always wanted to be a writer, much like many other people. I never took it seriously until I retired. And that's when I started looking at books that were on the market. And I was thinking, man, why is there anybody my age out there?
So what can you tell us about this genre and why you decided to write in this genre?
The genre is tricky because it's romance. And when you say romance, people tend to have this Harlequin romance type or the Lifetime TV movie type. And this isn't like that. This is romance, which means there's a happy ending at the end, but there's a lot of drama between there. And Aimee is a strong woman, and most strong women seem to find that a lot of guys are still interested in them. So they have a few miles on them. So do they.
So what's been your most rewarding experience since publishing your book?
The most rewarding experience since publishing my book has been getting a 5-star review from Reader's Favorite. You can ask your family to read it. You can ask your friends to read it. And nobody's going to tell you how bad or good it really is, except an unbiased organization like Reader's Favorite. I was really happy that they gave it 5 stars.
So how would you describe your writing style?
I like to begin with the female first, and I like to create a woman. What are her circumstances? Has she recently retired? Has she recently had a change in her life of any sort, good or bad? And I develop the female. I give her good and bad characteristics because much like people, nobody's perfect. So in all of my books, nobody is really evil and nobody's really wonderful. They're all somewhere in the middle. But I work with the female first. I decide what quality she's got. And then I try to decide, well, where would that bring her? And then I create the ending. And then I just put a lot of drama between the two.
Now, your characters, are they pure fiction or did you draw from people you know in real life?
Well, you can't get to my age and not have people have influence on your life or at certain times of your life. But for the most part, people are fiction. I may draw a quirk from my husband and a quirk from my sister-in-law, but overall, I don't think anybody reading the book would recognize themselves.
So if you had to choose, would you say you're more of a character artist or more a plot-driven writer?
I'm definitely character-driven. I flesh out my characters. They have a lot of drama in their lives that comes on between outside circumstances, whether it's the people at their work, whether it's their spouse, whether it's their kids, whether it's their next door neighbor. Life happens, and my characters really seem to enjoy it.
So other than selling your book, of course, is there anything else you hope to accomplish with it?
Yes, I would like to provide a good read for people. One that they'll like hand off to their friend and say, hey, you want to read a good book? Try this. But yeah, really, it's just for other people's enjoyment and for people to like my work.
So in your opinion, what's the biggest benefit readers will take away from reading this book?
That there are a lot of other people like them out there. They have many of the same issues. They have many of the same biases. They have many of the same influences, but they also, at that point in their life, are available for love and romance. And that doesn't seem to be something you outgrow. I guess the teenage heart is in every woman's breast.
So in your opinion, who should buy your book?
My work tends to skew older, so any woman who has read through the traditional chick lit genre and has really, maxed out on it per se, they have also outgrown it because now they have mothers that are moving in with them, or they are now mothers that are dealing with small children. So who should buy this book? It should be anybody of a particular age that is looking for fiction that mirrors the events of their own lives.
Do you have a website?
Yes, I do. It's www.cynthia, CYNTHIA, King, KING, books.com.
Well, this has been just great. Our guest today has been Cynthia A. King, and she's the author of Paradise Point. Cynthia, thanks very much for being with us today.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This is Don McCauley wrapping up another edition of The Author Show. Go out there, buy the book today, and please share this interview with your friends so they too have the opportunity to discover our guests and their work. The Author Show can be accessed at any time at theauthorshow.com, and for easy access to the show on your mobile devices, just download our app in the App Store or Google Play Store through the QR code on our website. And whether you're an author who would like to be featured or a reader in search of new books to read, The Author Show is a great place to start. Check us daily as we continue to introduce wonderful authors of very interesting books on The Author Show.
Thanks for listening to The Author Show. Find out more about authors and their work at theauthorshow.com. Theauthorshow.com. Tune in next time to another great author on The Author Show.